So what's up guys, I am BlackOpsAmazing, welcome back to another Zombies Q&A, taking your questions from the comment section below to do with the storyline, Easter eggs on Treyarch Zombies, and answer them. If you do enjoy today's video, as always, a like rating would be very much appreciated. If you want to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel, make sure you are subscribed and also hit the notification icon next to it as well. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Here we go. So I've got a few questions to answer from you guys today, not only to do with zombies, but also the campaign. As I said in my previous videos, if there's anything you want to know at all to do with anything Treyarch campaign, maybe some Easter eggs you found in multiplayer to do with zombies or just zombies, leave them in the comment section below. But the first question of today from Amazing D158 says, is World War II in the same universe as Black Ops 3 zombies? And the answer I can give you guys is no, they are both separate universes. The storylines don't merge, they don't have anything to do with each other. We know that in World War II these zombies were created by Dr. Straub, and then in Treyarch Zombies they were created by Group 935. Group 935 doesn't exist in World War II, and Dr. Straub doesn't exist in the Black Ops series or World at War. So they are two different separate universes that have nothing to do with each other in terms of story. We do know that World War II Zombies does have references to Treyarch Zombies. In fact, we know that the PPSH, the one that you can get through an Easter egg called the Classic, is a reference to the Treyarch PPSH, and also the ammo counters 115, which is element 115 from Treyarch. So there are Easter eggs, but the universes are totally different, and the storylines have nothing to do with each other. I know a lot of people are asking me this, some people were wondering, but the answer is no. The next question, again from quite a few people. So the first person said, wait, let's recap. Remember your video, The History of VIKTOR REZNOV, which, by the way, if you want to check it out, I will link it down in the description. Well, he says, if Rezanov was dead, then why did Alex Mason see him? And then another person said, there's one thing that I really need to know. Who is VIKTOR REZNOV, and did Mason see him as a real person? So I know what you guys are asking, to put it in simpler terms. In the Black Ops campaign, if VIKTOR REZNOV was supposed to be dead, why did we see him later on? And this is true. Now, I played the Black Ops campaign and the Black Ops 2 campaign, and I haven't even played Black Ops 3 since it had a terrible campaign, but that really has nothing to do with this. But in terms of Black Ops 1 and 2, why did we see Rezanov in Afghanistan 1986 when he was supposed to have died in VIKTOR? So, as we know, VIKTOR takes place in 1963. It is a prison where Rezanov had been captured and was being held, and he was supposedly here for 18 years before he was accompanied by Alex Mason. Mason, as we know, was put in VIKTOR as an American prisoner. Rezanov had been in here for 18 years, but eventually the two were in here together. Mason then began to gain Rezanov's trust by protecting him during their time in the prison. And because of this bond, eventually Rezanov was able to exploit Mason's resistance to Steiner and Dragovich's attempt to brainwash him by overriding his original mission with his own personal agenda of killing Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. And with this, Rezanov then masterminds a massive uprising in the VIKTOR prison camp. Because Rezanov had now kind of brainwashed Mason into doing his mission, Rezanov now had to make sure that Mason escaped so he could go and do those objectives that Rezanov had brainwashed into Mason's mind. And so, as I was saying, he and Mason first off pretended to have a fist fight to draw in the guards' attention, and then once Mason took down the guards, seized their keys, Rezanov then led the prisoners to the surface.
You break America.
VIKTOR REZNOV.
My friend. You hit like a child. Вы только через село, понимаете? Собаки! Эй, сволочь! Всегда ты, Резнов! Ха! 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 Reznov. Mason. Every journey begins with a single step. This is step one!
Secure the keys!
Now, we take Vorkuta! What is step two?
Ascend from darkness!
3!
Rain fire!
4!
Unleash the horde!
We know from there the Russian prisoners expressed doubt over Mason's trustworthiness, but Rezanov convinced them by explaining how they were both soldiers without an army, and both betrayed by their leaders. Rezanov continued to lead the prisoners out of the camp, fighting their way and shooting their way past the guards, where eventually the two found some motorcycles and drive their way out of the prison grounds. But, as we know, on their motorcycles, Mason managed to escape by leaping onto a train. However, Rezanov stayed behind. Rezanov sacrificed himself to free Mason, stating that Mason deserved the freedom, knowing he would carry on to go after Dragovich.
Jump, Mason, jump! Go, Mason, go!
Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom!
For you, Mason! Not for me!
Reznov!
And that was the last you saw of Viktor Reznov.
Yes, at least for a while.
When Mason told Rezanov to jump on the train to freedom, Rezanov shouted, "For you, Mason, not for me," and then he was killed by the pursuing soldiers. So as we can see in Vorkuta, Rezanov sacrificed himself to free Mason. As they were escaping the prison, Rezanov told Mason to jump on the train he would follow, but as we know, he didn't. He stayed behind to distract the guards, so Mason could escape, but he knew that if he let Mason free, then because he brainwashed him and told him to kill Dragovich, Kravchenko and Steiner, he knew that letting Mason free, he could do Rezanov's missions for him. And so Rezanov was captured and killed. But then comes your question, if Rezanov was killed in Vorkuta 1963, why do we then see him 20 plus years later in Afghanistan 1986, where Mason along with Woods was sent to Afghanistan to obtain intel on Raul Menendez. At the end of that mission, Mason and Woods are betrayed, beaten and abandoned, left in the desert to die. But after being here for some time, Mason sees Rezanov dressed in a desert garb, riding up on a horse, and offers Mason a drink of water, giving him the motivation to keep moving. And then he disappears and isn't seen again. Why is this? Well, in 2025, David Mason, Alex Mason's son, and Frank Woods talk about how Alex Mason credited Rezanov for saving their lives in the desert, but Woods dismissed the idea that it was actually Rezanov, stating that if he'd really been there, he would have stuck around.
So, we're in a desert buried to here. Who does your father think rides up on a horse to save us?
Tricky Vic.
Yeah, see? You're just like your old man. No, it wasn't him.
Reznov.
Come on, if you think it was him, don't you think he would have stuck around for a bit, huh? Maybe explain some shit?
And so because of that, Mason must have been hallucinating, as I'm sure you've heard many times. If you're in the desert for too long without any water, you're dehydrated, eventually you are going to hallucinate. You're going to see, I don't know, an oasis, a freaking vending machine showing water. In this case, Mason saw Rezanov coming to save him, bringing a bottle of water, but it wasn't actually him, it was just an hallucination. Because they were stuck in the desert for so long, Mason began to hallucinate, and he saw Rezanov. He saw basically what he wanted to see, Rezanov to save him one last time. And so hopefully that answered your question. Rezanov, it seems, did in fact die at Vorkuta, but even after that, for 20 years, he's still been in Mason's head, talking to him, and then eventually when he finally sees him again in the desert, it's once again in his head. It's not actually him, it's an hallucination. And the final question of today from Dirty the Turtle says, what's the crying baby that you can hear in KINO Der Toten on Black Ops 3. So on Black Ops 3 KINO Der Toten, you can hear loads of different sound effects of people crying and especially babies crying in the background. But why is this? Now we know that KINO Der Toten was a Group 935 facility, but as far as we know they didn't research or do experiments on children. They did that at the VIKTOR Asylum, possibly Call of the Dead and a few other places, but KINO Der Toten was a secret Group 935 facility that really only Maxis and a few other people knew of. Richtofen knew nothing about KINO Der Toten, he didn't know it existed. When we go to it in game, that is the first time he has been there. And we knew that Maxis was here to create an undead army for the Nazis. That was the primary objective, the primary doing at KINO Der Toten, creating the undead army for Nazi Germany. Obviously, to do that, they are going to need people that were given to them by the Nazis, people they captured. They need people, dead or alive, in order to turn them into zombies. But as far as we know, they didn't use children. I mean, we don't know. It is possible that the children were brought along with their parents to the KINO facility and then separated. Maybe something did happen to children at this facility, but we don't know what. However, yes, you can hear them crying in KINO. Anyway, there we go. That is all I have for you guys for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, as always, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you are subscribed, click that notification button, and of course we'll see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.